Wizards, we beam with pride.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wizards Pulse podcast. My name is Jeremy, aka Suge Knight Shyamalan. Here with my co-host Wanza.
How you doing, Wanza? Good? I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling a little poor after this recent contract info came out, but we about to get into it, though. I'm ready.
Man, hey, just want to remind you all to like and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe so you are up to date on all of our content. We drop it.
All that.
Also follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and X at The Wizards Pulse. And hey, it's been a while since we've had one of our pulses in an episode. Give us a call if you have a question or comment.
Please
leave a message 202-734-5293. 202-734-5293. We got a great show planned for you all. We're going to talk about the Trae Young opting out, then choosing to sign a long-term contract. Get into that. We will also get into the upcoming NBA draft, which by the time you all listen to this, draft will be maybe 14 hours later.
Draft day.
It will be draft day by the time you all hear this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get into what we expect as Washington Wizards fans, but we will also bring in a good friend to the program, Matthew Maurer, the draft historian and creator of thedraftreview.com. We will bring him in and we will talk about what's best for the Wizards and also some notable players who may get drafted and where they may get drafted. Let's just get right into it. Trae Young. Last week, Shams Charania reported that Trae Young was going to opt out of the final year of his deal, but will sign a long-term contract.
Mm-hmm.
That, in fact, was confirmed this afternoon, where stated that Trae Young will opt out of his contract and will sign a 4-year, $212 million contract. When you heard the news break this afternoon, Wanza, what was your first thoughts?
I had so many thoughts, Shug. I'm trying to figure out where to start. You know, I'm a big fan of context, right? So we gonna do the context here real quick because this is important. And what I'm going to do is that corny ESPN thing where they use the same analogy. I'm about to use it because I think it's actually apt here. Let me tell you what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like we are a girl who's been trying to feel herself but hasn't really gotten there, had a lot of bad relationships. Nothing's gone well for a long time. Now we see a guy who's like, all right, he got some potential. He got some stats, some all-stars, and it seems like he really wants to be here. That's what it felt like. I don't know if you saw Trae drop like $50K in the community before even really being fully on board with like a contract. Like he's invested. Every interview we saw, I want to be in DC. Washington's where I want to be at. That was my number one choice, probably his only, but we'll take it. You know what I'm saying? We'll embrace it. And also, we're not used to getting a lot of attention. Let's just keep it real. We're not used to getting attention from top tier guys in this situation. So we're about to get together. And then he goes, I need more from you. I need more from you. Right. And so we're like, all right, well, how much you need? Now we're talking numbers and, the original, like what Wizards fans were throwing out. So let's just be honest. It was Wizards fans 3 for 130. Those were types of numbers I was hearing. And I expected something along that range. The truth comes out and he goes, I want it all. You want to be in this relationship? I want it all. And it's like, wait a second. This is a little much. Like I'm clutching my pearls a little bit. Like, wait, what are we talking about? It's an uncomfortable amount. I don't think it's like completely astronomical, but I'm uncomfortable with the amount. However, we have to be real with the context. The context is we have been pushed to the side and ignored for a long time. I honestly believe A solid 40 million of this was Wizards tax. Was a Wizards tax. That's what it feels like to me. And I'm trying to digest it. I'm trying to be okay with it. And I'm leaning towards being okay with it because I'm trusting in Dawkins and what they're saying. Because remember when Trae was first signed, Dawkins says, we're not trying to flip him. He was essentially saying that this is RPG for the future. And now he's put his money where his mouth is and says, we're willing to pay you like that. I'm a little worried about how we sharing the ball, but we're gonna work that out. There's at least 3 to 4 players who need the ball on this team to really be able to keep things moving. But the reality is Trae is here. He's here to stay. A lot of people are making Beal comparisons, but it's not a fair comparison because that was years ago. It was with a player who was obviously on a down end. I don't think you could say that about Trae. I think there's still a lot of hope left for him, and clearly this team has invested in him. The good news is we have a lot of versatile defensive players that we've picked up. I'm talking about Keyshawn, obviously Bilal, Jamir. Like we got a lot of Sar. Obviously, we got players who we can help hide him. And I think that's a big deal. That's a big deal that we have players who can help hide him. However, this is all good as long as Trae shows up. I need you to show up, not like those last couple of weeks in Atlanta where everyone was ready for you to go. You need to show me that you're ready to show up because this is superstar money. This is superstar money. I need to know for certain that you can show up. So as long as he's able to do that, I'm fine with it. But now Dawkins and crew there's a bullseye on them right now. And they need to make sure and prove to us that this is not a Tommy thing. This is not an Ernie thing. This is an investment that's worthwhile. I'm suspicious, but I'm hopeful. Cautiously optimistic. That's where I'm sitting with it.
I remember we've kind of discussed the history of the Washington Wizards and how this, as great of a city it is to live in, to socialize in, to raise a family in, and when I mean the city and the area, the entire DMV region, it is something that a professional athlete making a lot of money would like to be part of, but then basketball always got in the way. And that's why
facts
and that's why these guys typically don't want to come to Washington. It's refreshing that at least someone of his caliber wants to be here. Now getting paid a large amount of money makes it easier to be here, but he said it from the jump. After he wanted to get traded to Washington.
Yeah,
he gets traded to Washington. He says right away, I want to be here long term. And he's now committed to a long term
we in it now
stint here in Washington. 4 years, 212. I'm not totally upset with. Average annual value is, I believe, $53 million. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Especially for someone who still is, I believe, career averages are close to like 24-9 or something like that. Without me looking, I think it's close to that. And for someone that we've seen, and I understand that it was 5 years ago, but he's still in his physical prime per se.
Yeah.
He was part of a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. However you want to dissect that, like it did happen. He's been multi-time All-Star. He's been an All-NBA caliber type player. And the fact that he wants to be in Washington, yes, you are going to have to pay a little more. But really, is this more? Like $53 million a year, knowing that guys now who are Supermax eligible are now looking at, I believe, $75 million, I believe, a year. If my math is correct, that's what they're getting right now.
Yeah.
It's not that bad to me, and you got to spend the money somehow. And he's a very good player. Once he plays, I think he's gonna be beneficial, not as on his own or personally. I think he's gonna be beneficial to the team. Now knowing this, Anthony Davis, who is still under contract for at least 2 years, but do you think Anthony Davis is more willing to stay with the franchise, or is this a move that kind of pushes him to want to get on his own or go somewhere else?
I honestly believe Anthony Davis has never fully unpacked his suitcase. Like, I'm convinced that he knows and Dawkins knows, like, you're gonna be out by Valentine's Day, right? Like, this is, I believe, a short-term stop. It would be dope to have him commit for longer, and who knows if his mind can change, as at least on Trae's side, he's never had another player be as good, like that caliber as AD. So maybe something new can come out of there for sure. But I don't think AD was planning to stay long regardless. And now the chances of us paying him the money he wants, which is he wants similar money, if not more, I think just dropped significantly. So the little bit of unpacking that he did, he's putting those socks and underwear back in. Like, listen, let me keep my jersey out because that's all I'm about to be using, and I'm gonna be here for 4 or 5 months. That's what it feels like to me. I think AD already had a foot out the door, and now it's a foot and a half, and I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that because I'm excited about what we can get back. Some really key pieces to help build up this roster.
All right, let's just get right into it. Let's introduce our guest for this week's episode, the founder, creator of the draftreview.com. And I believe, and when he gets on here, I believe he is one of one, when it comes to an actual NBA draft historian, our guy Matthew Maurer. Matthew, how you doing, man?
Welcome. What's going on, you guys? Everybody's doing well this morning. I mean, this evening, actually. It feels like morning for me.
Hey, we're just getting started. That's why. That's it.
No problem. Matthew, was I correct when I said you are one of one when it comes to NBA draft historian?
I am one of one. I'm the only crazy one to do it. So
okay,
that's crazy. I'm wondering if I could jump in, Matthew. Could you like help define that, because it's such a unique title? Like, what exactly does that mean before we get into the rest?
So whether a player made the NBA or didn't, I went back and researched every single individual player since 1950 to present day.
Dang.
So that's height, weight, birth date, birthplace, stats, where they went to school, even got their media guide photos. And there are some stories there, let me tell you. But overall, it took me about 20 years just to track everything down. Wow. Life gets in the way, marriage, kids. But for the most part, it's been a labor of love of mine since I was 12 years old when I started it.
Wow.
And it's grown into something exceptional. I go over the lottery, the people that were there, draft day trades. I've chronicled every single player who's even declared for the NBA draft. So that's way back from 1971 when the early entry, or then they call it the hardship, when that started, to present day, even players that didn't get picked at all. Pre-draft camps, Portsmouth, Aloha Classic, Desert Classic, Orlando Classic. So all in all, I've tried to go through every single phase of anything that's touched the NBA, the draft, the process, all this stuff. And what I found more than anything, especially with HBCUs, is that a lot of the information was dying out. I would contact somebody, they would know, they would like, I'm going to get to you. They would, fortunately, I grabbed people at the right time, because then when I would go back for other people, those people had either moved on or they unfortunately passed away, and then that information was dead. There was definitely information and death that was happening, especially at HBCUs. And I don't want to just single them out either. There was a lot of Division I schools that would surprise people. Like Oklahoma was one. When you start going to the 50s, they were like, I don't know where anything is. So it's one of those things where, like, I think the early and I'm sure viewers know basketball was not America's big sport. It didn't really blow up until about the 80s.
Right.
And then the 90s came in, and Jordan and on the host of players that came in euthanized it, and then everybody across the world started to catch fever for them. But in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, it was basically a bottom tier sport. A lot of people cared. I don't think a lot of people paid attention.
It was all baseball.
Right. Baseball or football. Football is probably now taking over. And I think culturally basketball has the advantage over baseball, but no mistake. Baseball's still up there as one of the top sports in North America. But yeah, all through that, like I said, that's what makes me different than a lot of other people. And then plus on top of that, I've scouted every single player that's currently in the NBA right now. So I kind of see it from all phases, prospect wise, GM side, and then just the historical lens.
This is amazing. It's insane. And listen, for all of our faithful Wizards Pulse fans, the 3 or 4 of you that are out there and not related to us, we only give you the best, right? Where else are you hearing this? Where else are you getting this level of analysis? So before, we get into any other like accolades and different stuff, I know we want to get into what people want to hear about. So let's go ahead and get into that. But I'm excited. I'm ready to listen to this guy for sure.
Appreciate that.
Now, Matt, you said you started as early as the age of 12.
It's crazy.
Pack of stamps, man.
Now, what was the, I guess, first official draft that you had to cover as a scout? First official one. Do you remember the year?
Official one? Well, this is the funny thing. So again, I'm old, unfortunately. So I'm right at that era where American Online used to give you the 60,000 hours for free.
Yeah, the CD.
And so I had started, writing stuff for Usenet groups. So I started that way. And then I kind of matriculated to NBADraft.net in the early ages. And then it really, for me, the first draft I probably heavily scouted was 1997.
Okay.
I went through, scouted, caught games when I could, saw things on VHS if they were on the West Coast. And, I even had the ESPN package at that time. I still have the Ancient Dinosaur VHS worldwide converter because, when you used to get tape from overseas, it came in a PAL style and you had to convert it. So a lot of people may not know that, but you got overseas tape, holler at your boy. I can convert it for you.
That's real. That's real.
And 97, that was the Tim Duncan draft, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Tim Duncan, Tracy McGrady, Keith Van Horn. Yep.
It's a good one to start with.
That's a fact.
And I remember that draft because I was it's funny saying this. I was turning 10 that year, Matthew. And I remember that as the first one. It wasn't the first one because obviously Shaq was a big one. Whoever got the number 1 pick, we knew it was going to be Shaq. But that one at the age of 10 is really the one where it's like, okay, I'm understanding basketball a little more. And it's like, okay, so that draft lottery was a big deal. And I do remember it was like, okay, Boston. It's probably looking like he's going to go to Boston. And then it was San Antonio.
Right.
So, yeah, that one I definitely remember. You did mention just now about, foreign films and foreign tape and having to convert it. And it made me think about this question. When it comes to foreign prospects, who was, I guess, the first foreign prospect that you can remember where you said this player is going to be good and they ended up being good?
I can tell you exactly who that player was, and it was Dirk Nowitzki. I had some foreign tape of him and it was real grainy. And then he played the Nike Hoop Summit and I thought he was good, but I didn't. But again, back then, DJK Würzburg was a Division II German program. It wasn't even playing top division. So it's kind of hard, saw this play and you're like, oh, I really like him. And they also had a Nigerian kid, Olumide Yedidaja, who was on that team, who later got picked by Seattle, I think, 199. So he had talent around him, but it's just hard to gauge because the second division of Germany. And when he came to Nike Hoop Summit, I mean, he dog walked us. I mean, he dropped, I think, 27 and 12, and it was like, yeah, this guy's just going to be something fierce. Yeah.
That's crazy, and I'm glad you actually brought that up because I had a question. In basketball, just as a whole right now, there are so many professional leagues that really have potential. It's not regular, but it has potential to be pumping out stars that could end up in the NBA. And I'm wondering, with multiple leagues out, does that make it easier or more difficult to analyze a player? Because, maybe more of them are getting more of a spotlight, and so that's a good thing. But there's also a lot more of them. Does that make it harder? Stuff like the NBL, it's just a different style, and Europe, different style. So what do you think about that?
I think to the untrained viewer who's going to those leagues, it might be like, for example, Brazil has a very fast-paced offense, so they don't really slow things down. They're very quick in transition. So if you might be watching those guys and you're like, oh my God, this guy is amazingly fast. And, and then you get him and you're like, okay, he's not that fast. It's just the pace of play.
Yeah.
It would shock people, when we were all growing up, when we were young, we were told that European players were soft.
Yeah.
It would shock people if they knew just how physical the EuroLeague is. I mean, it's basically running, 90s basketball that we're used to growing up, very much more physical, lanes more congested. So those things happen. NBL, I respect the program. I think it's a little bit overrated by some scouts. Not as bad as like China. I think China, you see guys over in China, you're like, yeah, I don't know if I believe in that. But NBL is a very good product. I think they have a chance to do something. But I will tell you this: if there was one mistake I think scouts made in the, I guess you say, heyday, is that we took some of the young prospects who weren't getting a lot of minutes for those senior division teams. We kind of took them and we pumped them up. So Nikolai Skitsavili, who people may or may not remember, he's an infamous draft pick. Well, he was literally playing for was it Panathinaikos in Greece. They were one of the top teams in Europe at that time. And he was getting like 10, 12 minutes a game, but he was 7 foot. He was big. Pretty nimble, pretty agile, had great shooting touch for his size, and scouts like myself said if he just got more minutes, he'd be amazing. And didn't happen. But that was some of the, I would say, some of the errors that we made early on back then.
That makes sense. Just another quick one. I'm wondering, and I don't want to throw out like I don't want to feel like this is a quiz or nothing, but do you have any memory of Jan Vesely?
I do. I do. I do. And I was not one of those guys on him.
Okay.
I think, people, this might shock people, but in that era of, I'll say, Croatia, the former country of Yugoslavia, so that's Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia, Montenegro, they have a reverence for Kevin Garnett. I mean, he is, you talk to those guys in that time frame, they all wanted to play like him. They all had this fierceness on the court. Darko Milicic played exactly like that. I asked Darko, I said, like, who's your guy? I was expecting him to talk about some European player. He was like, oh, it's KG. That's who I'm trying to play like.
Right.
So that was I think that was like that coming to age where we were seeing Europeans that had this moxie, this toughness that we weren't used to seeing. They were emulating Kevin Garnett and putting it into their play style. So I think a guy like Jan Vesely, I think he was getting a lot of love because he played above the rim over there. He was very aggressive.
Yeah.
So I think people thought like, okay, this is going to translate over, because usually with bigs during that time, they were a little bit more perimeter oriented. He was definitely a guy that tried to get downhill and dunk on guys, had no problem going into traffic. But I just think over here, he just found the athleticism a little bit difficult to match. But I liked him enough. I thought he should have got a first round pick. I just wasn't keen on him being a top 10 guy.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember they called him Euro Blake Griffin. I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
So I said, Euro Blake Griffin, I'll take it. That sounds
right.
good to me.
For
Sign
sure.
me up.
For sure.
And it was disappointment for the rest of the time. So it's good to know someone else's opinion about that, because I've been annoyed about that draft pick for years.
It could be worse. You could have the friend Vasquez who didn't even come over for Orlando Magic. So
there you go.
At least you got to see him.
Right. At least he showed up. That's real.
Now, you mentioned Darko Milicic.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest misconception of Darko Milicic? His, I guess, prospects coming in, and then just what's the biggest misconception about him?
I think the biggest misconception about him was that I think to the person that's viewing him and what he did in the NBA, I think the misconception about him is that he was some flunky who didn't have the heart. He was a dog when I met him. I mean, it was funny because during that time, North American players were getting just destroyed by NBA personnel about personalities and how they thought they were bigger than the game. And, that's why we're going overseas. Those kids are more hungrier. And Darko was that first European where you're like, yeah, it's whatever the disease that the North American players have, it's coming over here because
you got some
this guy thinks he's already made it. Big ego, big energy, whatever you want to call it. He thought he was there. And when he went to Detroit, I was worried just because of the simple fact that Larry Brown has a history of just not getting along with rookies. I don't know if Darko ever would have reached the levels that maybe the NBA projected for him, but I do think that the ego damage that was done to him in Detroit, I do think it set him back, and I don't think we ever saw the Darko that I saw when he was playing for Hemo Farm in Serbia. He never became that guy, and it's quite unfortunate. I think he's a footnote because he's in one of the most talented drafts of all time. And he's like Sam Bowie in a way, where he's like in between two great players, and it's like you're not one of them. So unfortunately, he just gets destroyed.
That hurts. That hurts. I feel for him. I'm curious also, just looking back before we bring it more current. What were your thoughts on Kwame Brown in terms of the ratings of him as a bust compared to other teams, like the grand scheme of thing? Where do you think he rates in terms of a bust, if you even see him like that? Because I know some don't.
I don't see him as a bust. I see him as a guy that underperformed his projection. People always got lots to say about Kwame Brown, and I people are like, oh, he's the biggest bust of all time at number one. He's not even in the top 10 worst bust at number one. I think it would surprise people. We have some guys out there, like especially in the early 50s where they were just god awful and, lasted a season. I mean, love it or hate it. I mean, this man lasted 13 years in the league. Like, I don't know how you can call a guy who lasted 13 years and had multiple teams offer contracts.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can call him a bust.
That's
if
fair.
You want to say he didn't perform where you think he should have went, I'm fully with you. But I can tell you, I think some of the problem with Kwame Brown too, he was, I'll say, the last guy in that conversation space for that class. So it was all about the other guys. He kind of came in, he possessed some face up forward skills a little bit in high school, and I think people kind of went to the moon with that. And then of course, teaming up with Jordan and having that label of being one of Jordan's guys that he picked, I think that was just too much for him, even from just a young age. But I always tell people, if you think Kwame Brown's the worst pick of all time, you got to look further, because there's a lot of guys that they take the step further. Anthony Bennett, prime example. He's a guy. I'm sorry, he's worse than Kwame Brown. I don't care what anybody says. We got LaRue Martin, you got Mark Workman, you've got Gene Melchior. There's other guys out there. It's like Look, I understand he didn't do what he's supposed to do, but he ain't as bad as those guys.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Kwame was a victim of Jordan, and when it was all said and done, he
For sure
set him on the wrong path there. But hindsight's 2020.
Yep. Matt, when it comes to, and I'm gonna start on the negative / hilarious side of this first. When it comes to a draft prospect, give us one of them that you were just flat out wrong about, that you can laugh about right now and be like, yeah, I really messed up on that one.
Let me think. I mean, there's been some guys. I mean, I would tell you I got Elton Brand wrong. I was I kind of didn't get it. I thought maybe the height would be restricted, and I didn't think he'd be able to finish in the league like he did in college. Obviously proved me wrong. I didn't think I didn't think Luka Doncic would be as great as he was. I thought he could be an eventual all-star down the line, like 3 or 4 years out, but I didn't anticipate, I think 5 straight first NBA all teams. I didn't expect all that. So yeah, there's guys I've gotten really wrong. Anthony Bennett, a guy that I just talked about. I thought Anthony Bennett was going to do better in the league. I really did. He had a lot of the same skills that you look for in modern bigs. We just didn't know he was going to eat himself into bad shape when he went to camp. Lost his athleticism, so that kind of really hindered him. But yeah, Anthony Bennett's probably one of my greatest misses because I really was. Now, I didn't think he should have been the #1 pick, but he was in my list of guys that I thought could really do well in the league, and it didn't pan out.
Now, on the flip side, give us a prospect that you probably viewed as a sleeper that ended up being successful in the NBA.
Danny Granger. I was very high on him. Paul George, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I had him as the #1 point guard coming out in that draft.
Oh, that's good.
Let me think. I had Brunson as a first-round pick. So yeah, it's there. Now I say all that, and trust me, I've made some huge misses. But that's the thing, I always tell people, and Suge's heard me say this a million times. Anybody who tells me they're a draft expert, I say run from those guys, because none of us are experts in this space. We're just either really good logic guessers who maybe have some level of prognostication, but for the most part, look, we're going to get somebody. I'm going to get somebody in this draft absolutely wrong. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get somebody that I said, I don't think he's that great, and he's going to go in the league and he's going to do well. It happens every year. Like one of the big ones that I was former Washington Wizard is Poole. I did not like Poole coming out of Michigan. I thought Golden State made a terrible pick. It was about the maturity for me off the court. I did not like his maturity. I kind of was right about that, but at the same time, I was wrong because I didn't project him to be a double-digit scorer in the NBA. So again, I get him wrong. I'm gonna get him right.
Yeah. Well, Suge, if I could answer the question, because as a fellow draft expert, I'm sure everyone's interested in my opinions on it. Let me tell you one I really got wrong, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Marvin Williams, I think it was Williams, one of the early Bobcat picks. I think it was Williams. Was it Williams?
Yep.
I swore he was going to be the truth. I'm talking
Atlanta Hawks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the
Hawks pick? Yes.
Hawks,
yeah.
They passed on like Chris Paul and Darren.
Yeah. I'm talking about Hall of Fame. I swore that he was going to be the truth. And I am still shocked to this day. I'd love just like a really quick analysis. Was I completely far off? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
No, you weren't alone. I was very high on Marvin as well. I don't think he's another one of those guys. I wouldn't say he was a bust. He just underperformed. I mean, he lasted in the league a very long time. If there's one takeaway from Marvin Williams that I would say, and I kind of look, when I do miss, I kind of like apply how I missed to future draft classes. So one of the things I missed the boat on him was his high school team did not have a good winning percentage when he was there. I mean, they were like a 16-win team in Washington. He then went to North Carolina. I mean, he was off the bench. It was short, limited minutes. So we really didn't get a chance to see him really out there. I mean, he was really going against maybe second lineups and stuff. So, the Monday night quarterback's always better than the Sunday quarterback. So,
Facts.
obviously
Facts.
I missed. And I wouldn't say you were wrong. I mean, look, he went number 2. So there definitely was some people out there that did agree with both of us on that. So,
yeah. It's good to know. Misery loves some company.
That's a fact.
I'll say this though, the one that I got incorrect, excuse me, and y'all are gonna laugh because I saw this individual play in high school at the Capitol Classic, and after the game, I said, "Yeah, he'll be good, but it'll take him about 2 to 3 years to really kind of become, an all-star caliber player." And he'll probably be an all-star guy, maybe occasional all-NBA guy. And that player was LeBron James, and he's still playing as of 2026. So I would definitely say
He's all
coming into the league, I definitely got that one wrong.
That's a bad one. Not gonna lie to you.
It happens. It happens.
We're all human. But that was bad. That was bad.
we have the pleasure of interviewing Matthew Maurer, one of one NBA draft historian and the creator and founder of the Draft Review. Visit www.thedraftreview.com. Let's now get into what the Wizards fans want to hear.
Yeah.
The Wizards have the number 1 overall pick. And now that we know that Trae Young is signing an I guess the correct term will be a new contract for 4 years, 212. And knowing that the rest of the guys who are currently on this team, who should the Washington Wizards draft number 1 overall?
Whew. Well, I did see you guys' show, the previous show when you guys got the number 1 pick, and I saw you guys with the Dybansta fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Darren Peterson guy. And I'll tell you why. I am a firm believer in following through your scouting evaluation period that you have of him. I've watched him for 3 years now. I take a lot of what I see on the grassroots level and I just apply it to their long-standing career that they've had. And then when they go into the draft, there was never a time that I saw those two play against each other where I didn't think that Darren Peterson got the better of Dybansta. I think there's things that Dybansta does far better than Darren Peterson. On the flip side, I think there's things that Darren Peterson does better than Dybansta. So it's one of those things where it's going to be interesting. I think this is one of those picks where these guys are going to be like so measured against each other for the rest of their career because each fan base, whoever gets him 1, the other guy will go 2, and each fan base is going. This is like the Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, and you hope that neither of these guys is Ryan Leaf. You really do. I think with the news of Trae Young, I think it makes sense. Probably if I was the Washington Wizards, I probably would pick Dybansta. Just on, I think he's probably going to need he needs the ball a little bit less than Peterson. Peterson's more of an initiator of the offense. Dybansta, I think, is the more, I'll just say, to me, Dybansta is the guy that can go get a bucket at a higher level than Peterson. But Peterson, I think, is the better shooter. But I think Dybansta is the more pure scorer between the two of them. I think Dybansta probably has a slight bit more defensive ceiling than Peterson does. And I would say the better physical tools, I would say, is probably Dybansta at his size. I mean, the wing is a premium position in today's league. So I think all that would kind of lean him into that. The dark horse, this might shock people. Dark horse might be Caleb Wilson for me. I think he's a guy that he's kind of got lost in this idea. I actually think he's not at the tier of those two guys, but I think he's so close. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody there in the Washington Wizards says, well, maybe we should get him. Because I do agree with you. I do not think that Anthony Davis is married to the idea of being Washington. So that does give them what they want at that position. I said all this because Suge knows I have a bet with Smooth about the number one pick. I said Darren Peterson, and he had said Dybansta. The problem with Darren Peterson is he has got the worst group of people who have told him some really bad stuff to say.
Well,
so the first thing he came out and he said he's a point guard.
Yeah.
He's not a point guard. He's a lead guard, and he does need the ball to initiate his offense. But he will make the play if he sees a guy completely open. Of course he will. But he's not a point guard. That's not really his thing. And then he said like he's not a pretty much in short terms, he's not a team guy. He's just a guy that
lone wolf.
And it's like, bro, if you still think you're a point guard and then you're telling people you're not really a gregarious person,
right?
It's like the opposite of what you want in a point guard. You know, it's like most of the time the point guard is the most verbal of everybody. He's the one that players like to hang out with.
Yep.
It's just
brings the team together.
Yeah. It's just kind of weird that you're projecting yourself as a point guard. You're then telling people you're like this moody guy that wants to be left alone, and that you're an introvert. His crew made this pick way easier for Washington, and I'm really gonna be intrigued by this. I think this is one of these picks that like whoever comes out on top will breathe a sigh of relief, because I do think it's razor thin between these two guys.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I'll tell you, like, my worries about Peterson are more mental, emotional than on the court. Right. And it sometimes, just as you were saying, sometimes I think he says stuff to be like, how can I not be picked number one? That's what it feels like sometimes. Like he just goes out of his way. And then I had issues with this whole taking myself out and creatine, and it's weird. You know how sometimes they say the crime is bad, but the cover up is worse.
Yeah.
I am convinced 100% that he has been lying to us about this. And that worries me. Now, that ties right into, I don't want to make this solely about him. It's his camp, obviously. And I do think, just like you were saying, Matthew, he is getting bad advice, but it makes me question him. And it's hard for me to see through all the bad advice to what's really happening. When you have AJ there who has so many less red flags, it just feels more simple to me. However, I am curious about your comps. Everyone loves a good comp, right? So let me give you mine.
Okay.
The first one is just for these two. First one, super obvious. I'm going with what I've heard a whole lot because I think it makes a lot of sense. And what that is for Darren Peterson, like a more explosive Beal sort of comp. I think that fits. I like that. But with AJ, one that I've been sitting on and thinking about, I'm sure others have said it too, but it's less popular. What do you think about AJ and like a bouncy Paul Pierce? I'm talking about 21-year-old Paul Pierce and AJ in terms of their game. What do you think about those two? Am I off?
No, I don't think you're off at all. I mean, he does, and that's the funny thing. I always tell people that there's two types of comps you do, right? You do the physical comp, and then you do the play style comp. AJ does have that Paul Pierce, I'll just call it slow game. Like you can't speed him up. He's going to play at his style, his pace, which I think is very unique for a prospect. So no, I'm not mad at that comp. I mean, I have him kind of like a Jaylen Brown type guy. That's a better shooter and probably I would say a more dominant scorer. Maybe like a Tracy McGrady mindset almost. He doesn't have the athleticism as Tracy, and nor the ball handling when Tracy came out of Mount Zion High School, but he does have that mindset. He wants to dominate the guy across from him. So he's got the McGrady mindset, but I think he has the Jaylen Brown like ceiling. With Peterson, I'd say he's more of a Ray Allen-ish, a toned down Ray Allen.
Okay. Yeah.
Ray Allen, I know people are going to be like, well, Ray Allen's just a shooter. Ray Allen, when he first came out of UConn, actually was a guy that could dunk in traffic.
Yep. Sonic's Ray Allen was crazy.
He was crazy. He used to get work. And then the Milwaukee Bucks Ray Allen, he was a completely different guy. So No, I like the Paul Pierce comp. More athletic. I mean, Paul Pierce, he was doing all right when he was 20. So I don't hate that. I do, again, and I do think when we talk about prospects, I do think it's important to try to incorporate in your comparison the idea that like this is how they could play like, and then this is their like physical comps. And that's the other thing too about comps. I really try my hardest with comps to not give a guy this crazy comp. Like when everybody knows about the famous NBA draft.net Deshaun Stevenson, Michael Jordan comp. It's like, you don't want to do that. Like you don't want to give a guy the biggest comp in the world.
Yeah,
like,
it's a setup.
This guy's Shaq. It's like, nah, so people might be like, well, Jaylen Brown, why would you give him Jaylen Brown? It's like, hello, Jaylen Brown's an all NBA guy.
Yeah.
That's not a bad comp. You know, like, and me and Suge and others, we talked about this. Like, people act like when you give comps and they're not like perennial legends that like you don't like the prospect.
Insult.
Yeah, it's like, look, bro, it would be disrespectful of me, and I think even worse for the player. And I've talked to players; they hate when guys do that. When guys set the bar and like, oh, he's gonna be, you know, Kobe. Because I've heard people say Darren Peterson's Kobe Bryant-ish. It's like, bro,
yeah, I've heard
Kobe, bro. We're gonna give him Kobe,
right?
Like, let's relax him a little bit. Let's give him something a little bit less than Kobe. Like, no matter how you feel about Kobe, that's a top 20 guy, man. Like, relax. Let's chill on this. So I think that anytime you give comps, I think it's important to kind of give a guy a middle ground comp. And so, you know, I don't have any problem with your Paul Pierce comp.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Man, oh man. So we've gotten that, and let's remember, listeners, viewers out there, on the draftreview.com, there is the mock draft. Now, the question we asked was, you know, who should the Wizards select? And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, you like Darren Peterson, but understand the concerns of drafting Darren Peterson.
I have the same concerns
with this team. We've also mentioned just throughout the college season that AJ is probably the safer pick, but Darren Peterson probably has the biggest upside of the two. My only wish is, look, whoever the Wizards select Tuesday evening at 8:00, that's the person that ends up being the best between the two.
Sure.
That's what I hope for. And not only, and then more importantly, that whoever you select actually leads this team to sustain success, because it doesn't end draft night. Like,
no,
we got to actually play basketball.
Right.
And as a Wizards fan who has never seen 50 wins in his life, like, all right, man, we did all of this tanking. We did now this player acquisition. Now we got to draft well and actually try and win games. Yeah.
That's real. That's real.
Before,
go ahead.
Oh, no. You got another question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to slip one in real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering, Matthew, how do you feel, and stay with me here, I'm about to go off the range, but I'm coming back. How do you feel about role playing?
What do you mean by that? When you say role playing?
And that's a fair question. I want to play a little game with you. I'm not trying to get you in any trouble with the wife or anything like that. I'm trying to play a little game. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to be an owner, NBA owner of a team, and you are my lead, like, personnel person, GM. You making this pick, right? I own the Wizards. You're my GM. You're sitting in Dawkins' place. I need a big man. I need a young big man. I'm talking no less than 6'10", no less than like 220, 230, with a little bit of bully in him.
Okay. All
right. And I'm looking more so in the second round. Right. I think we have maybe the number is slipping me. Maybe I think it's 51 and 60, I believe.
I believe
our second round picks. Give me someone around there. As my GM, your task is to bring a big man in here that got a little bit of a mean streak. I'm tired of all these nice guys who pat everyone on the back. I need someone who's willing to give me a hard foul when I need it. Is there anyone like that in this draft around between 50 and 60?
I do think there's a guy out there for you guys, if that's where you're trying to go. I think he's 6'10". I think he got listed without sneakers Again, this is nerd talk. 6'9.5". And that's Isaiah Nelson from South Florida. He plays with a scowl on his face. He's got a serious motor. One of those guys that he rotates all over. He runs the court with the guards. He doesn't. The problem with him is he can finish around the basket, but he doesn't really have any traditional, what I would say, modern big man skills. He's a guy that he's going to be in there for defensive purposes and rotational purposes. He's not a guy that's going to have a high skill set. He's not going to take guys out on the perimeter. He's not going to shoot threes. That's just not that's not in his bag. But if you want a guy that's going to go in there, punch guys around, smack guys, that's the guy. He'll be, he might be there in, I'd say, about 45 to 50 range. I can see him there. He's a guy that was not on a lot of boards, went to Portsmouth, then went to the Combine, made a lot of fans. And I know that there's some worry about his lack of ideal size, but again, he has that rotational value. He can switch off guys. He has good foot speed, which is a must for bigs.
Yeah,
size. I would say Ugana UNESCO from Virginia, but I think he'll be gone by the time you guys pick. I think he's going to go in that 35 to 40 range. So, that would be a guy I would target. And then finally, if there was one other guy, I would say would be Felix Akpara from Tennessee. Again, same deal. He's not a guy that has tremendous skill offensively, but defensively, there's a lot there. I just think in terms of if I was looking for a guy that could rotate better, I think Nelson's a better rotator in those situations than he is. So that's why I would go Nelson first.
I like it. So now for the casual draft people like me, now go ahead and start looking these people up so we can have some opinions and have something to argue about come Tuesday night. I appreciate that though. Thank you.
And then let me just one more other thing. From your guys' neck of the woods, there is a young man that I think he's 6'10". George Washington's Rafael Castro. Doesn't have the defensive ability, but he does have a really good offensive skill set. He's decently mobile and he's a good athlete. I think he's a guy that will be there for you guys as well.
Okay. Good to know. I'm taking notes. Take notes, listeners. All right.
Before we get out of here, going to quickly go through some, NBA news that's happened since our last episode. The New York Knicks won the NBA Finals. Won it in 5 games. Matt, you and I and others have been in discussions constantly about this entire series.
Yeah.
Not necessarily who won, but what are your thoughts about the actual 5-game series? Was it more that New York took advantage of the mistakes of the Spurs, or was it New York was just better than them anyway?
I'm not going to discredit New York. I think what New York did was phenomenal. But I think when you look at the metrics per game, it favored San Antonio. San Antonio just had mental breakdowns towards the end of the games. Which funny. This is another conversation we had, Suge. And I think that people have to understand that this San Antonio Spurs team is not your father's San Antonio Spurs team. These guys are not underdogs. These guys are alpha males who have been head of the packs. They're not like Tim Duncan, who was trying to be an Olympics winner, and then a tornado came through Virgin Islands, and then he said, I'm 6'11", let me go play some basketball. That's not who this guy is. That's not who Victor is. Victor is a phenom of the highest order. He's, arguably one of the greatest NBA prospects we've had since like Shaq, Wilt, LeBron. He's up there. He's one of those guys. Dylan Harper was a top 5 pick. He's not Tony Parker, who came out of France and no one knew his name. He wasn't Manu Ginobili in the second round and playing in the second division of Italy. Neither is Stephon Castle, another guy that was a McDonald's All-American. These guys have an edge to them. These guys have egos. I think that's going to be difficult for the Spurs to kind of get past that a little bit. I think there's a little bit of a frustration boiling. Harper made some comments after that basically he's like, hey, I should be starting.
All right, nice.
And I've said to people, look, there might be some truth to that because the New York Knicks fans made a Fox jersey, so that lets you know how they felt, how they thought about De'Aaron Fox in that series. But I think the San Antonio Spurs, if I'm being honest with you, I just think they were a young team. They were ahead of schedule where we thought they were. I think there's been a lot of Victor bashing, and look, I get it. I did not like how he handled himself after the series, but if I'm being honest, this whole notion that people have that the ship is sinking in San Antonio and that, this kid isn't that great. You guys got to stop drinking the Clorox bleach. Like this kid's going to be a problem. And I'll say this. I think in this draft, there are guys that are going to move up on draft boards because of Victor Wembanyama. Like Mara, in no real world is Mara a legit lottery pick. He's going to be there because somebody believes they need to stack up bigs for Victor. Ugana Nesco, he's not a guy that was going to be an early second round pick if this had been before Victor. He would have been like a late second, maybe even undrafted. So guys are definitely getting elevated that position where we're starting to see like Shaq, where like teams are going to start carrying 2 or 3 bigs because they're just going to get physical with Victor. And like at the end of the day, I think that's the biggest tip of the cap that Victor's going to be a problem for the league.
You mentioned Mara from Michigan. Within our clubhouse community, there was one individual who said, Mara's going to be top 10. And this is well before, he had declared for the draft and everything. We were like, you don't know what you're talking about. But as it's got closer and closer to the draft, it's like, hold on.
Looking bad, right?
Yeah, he might be right. And if it's not top 10, it still may be like lottery. Like it still may happen. So that's
Clark, man.
Yes, that's a great point made about just how now guys are going to be given opportunities that they normally would not have been.
It's an arms race.
Yep.
What it is.
Since we started recording, well, actually, we'll start with something earlier today. The Dallas Mavericks finally hired a head coach. University of Michigan's head coach Dusty May will become the Dallas Mavericks head coach. And while we were recording, there is a trade. Minnesota Timberwolves are sending Julius Randle in the number 28 pick in the draft to Brooklyn Nets in a 3-team trade that sends Nick Claxton to the Bulls. Sources tell ESPN the Timberwolves will acquire Brooklyn's 33rd pick for Randle and the 28th pick. Timberwolves free up significant salary with the remaining 2 years of Randle's deal, giving them more flexibility to retain Ayo Dosunmu and use exceptions. Nets acquired 3-time All-Star and 2-time All-NBA Randle into their cap space, plus a first rounder. Chicago uses part of its space on talented athletic center, a position of need with a $30 million in room left. So that trade happened while we were recording.
Wow. Interesting.
Matthew, I want to say thank you for joining
the
podcast. The last guest that we had on the podcast, Alex, is a Knicks fan, and they won the NBA Finals.
He's been insufferable, by the way.
Matt, this just means that something great will happen in life for you for simply being part.
We're good luck.
Simply being part of the episode. We greatly appreciate you taking your time out to be with us. Any last words? First, Matt, any last words for us?
Enjoy this. I know it seems like it's frustrating because you guys got the number 1 pick and it's kind of like it's no slam dunk of who the number 1 pick is. But I will say this. I think no matter who you get, I think this is going to be a solid prospect, a solid player for your organization. Fingers crossed. I mean, last time, you guys had the number 1 pick. I think it was Wall, right? I think.
Yes.
Yes. I liked Wall. Thought he was tremendous. I think it was the right pick still then. I would enjoy this position because there's some organizations out there where it gets a little dicey when they take number 1. Shout out to the Clippers.
Yeah.
I will say this, just for your listeners, don't expect a ton of international people this year. I just think I think the landscape of the international market has changed with the NIL. The draft and stash is a little bit more difficult to do now. I do think I have Washington picking Sevu Lut-Ishenko from Russia. He's just one of those guys. You got Jack Kail from Germany. And then I would say Naim Yaakov from Israel in Belgium. He's those probably going to be the guys that I would imagine would get drafted. And then of course everybody knows the other guys that are out there, not traditional from overseas, but like Hans Steinbach, who's from Washington, and then you have Henry Vassar from North Carolina. But guys coming from the international market, I don't think there's going to be a lot of guys in that.
That makes sense.
I know, right? Wanza, any last words before we get out of here?
Yes, sir. Just want to say thank you to Matthew. This was awesome. Maybe we can have you back for a little post-draft analysis if that's a possibility. And I'm glad you mentioned Wemby. I'm a big fan of Wemby. He's going to be doing big things, but I'm hoping he's getting ready and prepared to be the second best French big man in the league, because it's going to be Big Eiffel's league pretty soon. Watch out. Alex Sarr's gotten buried in a lot of this talk. Watch out. The league better prepare themselves. All right. Shout out to draft day coming tomorrow. Everyone get your popcorn ready. It's going to be Dybansta day if everything goes properly the way it should be. So we're excited. Looking forward to recording another one and recapping that.
All right. Thank you, Matthew, for everything you do. Thank you, Wanza, for everything you do. Until next time, everyone, the Wizards Pulse Podcast. Peace.
Peace.
We're soaring high like spells in the air. Gee whiz is dancing. We don't have a care from downtown Thunder to the paint they light. The Washington Wizards, we beam with pride.